InsideTracker is a one-of-a-kind science-based platform that not only gives you insight inside your body biochemistry, but also give you a tangible recommendation how to improve your performance using a simple intervention such as food, supplement, exercise, and lifestyle changes. The first step is that the end user come to our website, register and pay. Then when he do that, he get a lab slip that he can use in 1,500 branches of LabCrop, which is the second biggest diagnostic company in the world. The customer go to LabCrop, do the blood test, and 2 days later, he get his result on his personal portal on our website. The result include the result showing the level of the markers that he have for each marker, and it shows whether he is in his own personal range or not. And if he is not in his personal range, he gets some recommendation how to get to his personal range using food, supplement, and exercise. Our major focus is on food recommendations, so he can get a daily menu of what should he eat in order to improve all the issue that he have at once. And in addition, he can get like more like a high-level recommendation, eat more of this kind of food or less of bacon in order to just improve a specific marker in his blood. So we have a few different databases that we use in order to give those recommendations. First, we extracted from the literature thousands of papers, peer-reviewed scientific papers, that basically give us guide what is the range that for a specific person. So I can give you an example. If you are a 40 years old Caucasian male, you will get a different range for ferritin, which is a marker of the amount of iron that you have in your blood, than 40 years old female. So we are giving those ranges, and then we look at your levels and see whether you are in your personal range or not. Then when we know that, we can give you some recommendation. Again, we extracted the recommendation from the scientific peer-review publication, and the recommendation can be lifestyle changes, exercise, supplements, and also food. But for the food, we developed another database of 7,500 food items that we can tailor specifically for you based on the level that you have in your blood. So if you have a low level of vitamin D, we will recommend you to eat more fish and a specific kind of mushroom and other food that basically is high with vitamin D. But it's more complicated than that, because we are looking currently on 20 different markers. So it could be that you have several markers that are off. So then we take that into consideration and recommend the food that will improve all of them at once. So it's a very complicated algorithm that we develop in order to solve those issues. So sensor technology gives you inference. It's basically telling you what it might be, but it doesn't give you the direct level of what is happening inside your body. So only the blood, because it's inside your body and showing you what is happening today, in this moment, that's the best way to know what is happening inside your body. And I can give you an example. If you measure your blood glucose via sensor technology, it shows you the ballpark, but it doesn't show you what is happening inside your body. Now, there are other markers like vitamin D or vitamin B12 that you cannot even get the ballpark but not doing the blood. So the blood is the gold standard in order to know what is going on inside your body. So it shouldn't be more often than once a month, and it shouldn't be less often than twice a year. Once a month is more like for an amateur athlete or professional athlete that want to stay in the peak all the time and is running now the next competition. For an average fit consumer that just want to stay fit, it's enough to do it every 6 months and fine-tune his performance. So I'll give you an example of 3 different biomarkers. The first one is a ferritin, which is a marker of the amount of iron that you have in your blood. And very interestingly, 30% of female athletes and 10% of male athletes have a low level of ferritin. Now, when you have a low level of ferritin, it's indicate that you have a problem to transfer the oxygen from your lung to the muscle, and that's basically compromise the athletic performance of those athletes. But more than that, it's also compromise their the daily life because when you have low iron, it doesn't allow you to be in your peak performance, so you get tired earlier, you cannot be focused during the late afternoon, and a lot of other issues that can cause by that. Another example is vitamin D. More than 50% of us have low vitamin D, and actually vitamin D can influence a lot of different things. Low vitamin D can indicate that you have an issue with your muscle. It can decrease the strength of your bones. It can cause inflammation, and actually there are studies that show that people that have a low vitamin D have a higher amount of inflammation. It also can cause an increase in body weight. And some research found that a low level of vitamin D actually have been correlated with infiltration of fat cells into muscle cells. It can also cause other health issues. So there are some studies that show that when you have low vitamin D, you can increase the chance to have a certain kind of cancer. It can increase the chance to have diabetes. So vitamin D is huge. And as I said, most of us have a low vitamin D. The last one is creatine kinase. Creatine kinase is a very cool marker in the sense that it's a signal whether you have muscle degradation. So when you exercise, your muscle is degrade, and there is a nice correlation between the level of creatine kinase and in the blood and the level of muscle degradation. So I can give you an example. People that run marathon, a day after the marathon, they have a level of around 10,000 units of creatine kinase in the blood, while a day before that they had only around 200. Now, when they are resting for a few days, it's dropped down again to the low level. So there are a strong correlation between the level of creatine kinase and the level of muscle degradation. High creatine kinase in your blood can cause injuries, so it can dramatically increase injury, fatigue, and cramping. So it's very important to measure the creatine kinase, and by that to know whether you need to rest, to eat more protein, or do other simple intervention to solve it. Excellent. So let's start with the history. So a bit about myself. I graduated from the Weizmann Institute of Science with a PhD in biology, and then came to MIT to do a postdoc and study aging. And the goal was to go back to Israel and to have my own lab and to be a professor in the academia. But when I came here, I was exposed to all the startup environment in Cambridge, and I decided that it will be more interesting, and also I will contribute more to humanity if I'll start my own company. So to cut a long story short, I decided to start my own company, and to try to find an idea that will help the humanity that will help all of us to live longer and better. So, and then I came together with a co-founder of the company, David Lester, with the idea that basically food and supplement and exercise can save us the drug to help us to improve ourselves. And we started to build InsideTracker. We started that 2.5 years ago, and here we are standing today. Now, a bit about the customers. So currently our customers segment are professional athletes, amateur athletes, and a fit consumer. And a bit of surprise is the professional athletes. I was sure that professional athletes won't use it because they will be scared that we are looking at their blood and we might find that they are using a drug. But actually, they are really keen and would like to do that because they know that today they cannot use the drug anymore. So they are trying to find a natural way to improve their performance. So we have a lot of interest from the professional athlete. So the first screen that they will see, it's called the blood work page, and the blood work page is basically divided to 3 parts. The first part show you where you are, and show you also in comparison to where you should be. So basically you see your personal range. You see the range that the diagnostic company claimed that is the good range, but it's a generic range that is okay for you, for me, for my grandma, my daughter, and our friend from China. And the range that is completely out or off. So the first advantage of InsideTracker in the sense that we are giving you your own personal range. If you do more than one test, and we really recommend that because then you can see a progress, you can basically compare the baseline to what happened a few months later when you follow our recommendation. The second part is basically giving you information. Because all of us would like to know what does it mean. Okay, so I have low vitamin D, so what? So the information basically explains to you what does it mean to have low vitamin D. Each of piece of information is directly connected with a link to the original paper. So you can click on that and go to the original paper and read it. So we are trying to give you a complete access to the information that you can make your own decision whether you want to focus on this marker or not. And the last part is the recommendation. What should you do with that? So we are giving you a very simple and tangible recommendation: food, supplement, exercise, and lifestyle changes. The next screen is the nutrition page. In the nutrition page, we are giving you around 25 food items that you should eat either more or less in order to bring this specific marker into your personalized zone. You can also fine-tune it and come and say that you are eating only veggie food, or you are on a paleo diet, or a lot of other different checkbox that basically will refine it and make it more personalized to you. And the last screen is a screen that gives you a food menu. So it is giving you a food menu, a daily food menu based on the calories that you need to consume, that will basically bring all the markers at once to your personal zone. So that's the toughest screen for us to develop, because it includes a very sophisticated algorithm to take into consideration all the other markers. And you can, again, further customize it to yourself based on the food that you like, based on the food that you don't like, and also based on specific diet restrictions. For example, I'm gluten-free, so you won't see any gluten-containing food there. It's an excellent question, and that's something that we are cooking right now, is basically to have a mobile app that you are traveling in the street of Boston, and you walk next to a restaurant. You can basically take your smartphone, and obviously the GPS know where you are, and it will tell you these 5 food items in the menu of this restaurant are good for you, and those 5 are bad for you, so don't eat them. Yeah. Currently, we don't have a capability to share it, but we are working on that. We are working on a partnership with other companies that basically have an API that allow them to stream some other data to us, and for us stream data to them. So it's in development. I just want to mention that every diagnostic result that we are getting, our physician reviewing it, and if there are some issue with that, we are basically sending an email to this customer and telling him, go to your PCP and let him look at your result, because we are not disease management, we are health management. So I will take the analogy of a car. So today, every 5,000 miles, we are taking our cars to the mechanics. They connect immediately a computer to our car, and then know whether they need to replace the oil filter, replace the wiper, or add some air to the wheels. Unfortunately, there is nothing like that today for us. So basically, we are coming every other year to our PCP, and he's looking at us and say, oh, you are okay, kick us out from their office and say, come in 2 years. So what we are seeing InsideTracker is the same as the mechanic for the car. We are plugging the computer, basically taking some blood from your arm, looking at your diagnostic, basically all the markers, and then giving you some corrections. This time you need to work on vitamin D, next time you will need to work on vitamin B12, and that's basically will put you all the time in your best zone, or your personal best zone. That can significantly increase the quality of life, and hopefully also the length of life. Because if you detect issues early, you can easily fix them. So instead of having later on diabetes, if you are looking at your some of the markers and keep them in your good zone, you won't have diabetes later. And if you are looking at other markers that measure basically other kind of diseases, you won't have those diseases. So the implication is more on the quality of life. We'll get to our retirement, and we'll still have a chance to enjoy our retirement money. But it might also implicate the length of life. We don't know that. People that know to manage databases. UI and UX. It's very important to have a good interface for the user, so UI and UX is a key, both designer and also programmers. So I think that those are the issues that we need the most. So that's an excellent point. So before that, I will just mention that we also have the capability to send someone to your house all over the United States. So that's another way to reduce the friction. But we are in the process of developing a partnership with some companies that you will be able to measure your blood on your desktop. So basically you will have, as you said, a machine on your desktop that you prick your finger, and after an hour we will get the result to our mainframe, we will analyze it, and when you will finish exercise, you will get a recommendation. Now you need to eat this food in order to recover from the exercise, for example. So that's on the horizon, yeah. Yeah, I think that the challenge that we have today, that there are a lot of different gadgets. So you have a Fitbit and Zio, and to name a few, and the heart rate monitor and all of that. My philosophy is that finally all of them will combine to one gadget that basically will be your smartphone. So that's one challenge that we need to solve, because a person cannot carry too many stuff on himself. The second one is, and the biggest challenge is the analysis of the data. So we have a lot of data, a lot of it is meaningful. So I ran this morning with the Runkeeper, so I know that I ran, and I know the amount of calories that I burn, and I know the route. But I can do a lot of other things with that, and for that we need an analysis. The same with the blood, and the same with the sleep monitoring. So I think that that's the advantage of InsideTracker, that we can analyze all this data, make it meaningful, and then give you a tangible recommendation. What should you do following the input from the gadget? So that's the second challenge that I see. Yeah, so for example, we are planning to launch soon what we call do-it-yourself. So basically, everyone, even that doesn't want to go to LabCorp and take his blood, or doesn't want to give blood to someone that comes to his house, can take the data from his physician and plug it into our algorithm, and then get some recommendations. So I think that will allow us to reduce another barrier, that someone doesn't like to get blood when he doesn't have to. So I think that's one barrier that we are going to remove pretty soon.